Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth. And now the Friday Crime Report. Tallahassee, Florida, May 7th, 2023, 2 o'clock a.m. The subject of this morning's briefing happens to be not merely the offense that was done against this citizen, but also the criminal conspiracy that took place that night and continued all the way into the courtroom. This was not a criminal case, it was a railroading. Mr. Calvin Riley was pulled over at 2 o'clock in the morning because Tallahassee police claim they saw him driving without his headlights on. Now, as we all know, when it comes to police harassing black motorists, they always try to say that it was for some sort of moving violation. But as we all know, that's always just a pretense for what the real objective is, and that is to claim some sort of criminal offense. Almost always something relating to drugs or alcohol, police trying to see if they can put a felony jacket on a black person. In this case was no different. Calvin Riley was pulled over by a white female officer named Kirsten Oliver. And this woman's story changed a number of times throughout this saga. First, she said that Mr. Riley smelled like marijuana. Then she told her colleagues, that she wasn't sure if he did. Then claimed he smelled like alcohol. Then they searched the car and found no marijuana. And then they found a bottle of alcohol, but it was sealed and closed. And this was when the crooked cop went viral, when her body camera footage caught her taking the sealed bottle of alcohol out of the car and then proceeding to crack it open, breaking the seal, and she poured its contents out before she threw it back in the car. And then afterwards, in the cop's report, saying that she found the bottle already opened. At the scene, she claimed that Mr. Riley seemed impaired, but then during the deposition, she said she broke the seal on the bottle, but under questioning admitted that she had changed her story on that before.
It was a strong odor.
It wasn't strong, but I could remember smelling it.
Vehicle.
I don't remember if she searched the vehicle.
So you don't remember her searching on the passenger side while you searched on the driver's side?
No, I don't remember that.
You told Officer Muth that the bottle was open?
I don't remember my exact phrasing. I don't remember what my thought process was behind the statement. I don't remember the conversation.
So you don't remember discussing indicators of impairment that you saw in Mr. Riley?
I don't remember discussing that, no.
Did Officer Muth or Sergeant Smith ever convey you that their body-worn camera was on after you had turned yours off?
I don't remember that. I don't remember.
Yeah. Have you previously testified that the protocol is to dump out open containers?
I don't remember.
They were just all over the place, the cops were, claiming he smelled like marijuana, then didn't, then smelled alcohol, then wasn't sure. The cops searched the car. They didn't find any marijuana, but they were still asking about it. The police questioned Mr. Riley, they collected evidence, and then they conspired to make a story. Mr. Riley wasn't even read his Miranda rights until several minutes after he was thrown into the back of that squad car. By the way, remember when I keep reminding you that Joe Biden had his Solicitor General go to the Supreme Court and take the side of the police against people being able to sue for violation of their Miranda rights? You know those morons who kept trying to minimize it and say, well, it's not really all that important. You just keep this case in mind. This is a case of a black man who got pulled over for specious reasons. The police, asking him a million questions, didn't even properly Mirandize the man until well after they had begun questioning him. And even the judge had to admit that they had to basically excuse from the jury everything that was said before Mr. Riley was Mirandized. Keep in mind, this man has been convicted of a DUI. What's going to happen if this man decides he tries to sue the police because they violated his rights? See how that works? Anyway, the policy that Officer Oliver was claiming was that she was justified in opening the bottle and pouring out the contents because the department requires you to do so if the car is going to be impounded, and she believed that the car was going to be impounded, so she felt that she had the right to open up this bottle and pour out the contents. But when the defense gave her the department guidelines and asked her to point out specifically the policy that she was using, she couldn't find it. That policy, if it even exists, would have applied to open containers. Oliver found the bottle closed and sealed. She was the one who broke the seal on it and opened it. Also, she claimed that there was a cup in the car with what might have been alcohol in it. She never says that she poured that out, by the way. If the cops didn't think that they were doing anything wrong, that this was just another normal traffic stop, and they felt like they were totally in the right, then why did they all turn off their body cameras after the white male cop showed up and asked them, "Are you live?" He was asking them if their body cameras were live. In law, there's a concept called knowledge of guilt. In the middle of a traffic stop, all three of these cops turned off their body cameras. And they didn't do it accidentally or spontaneously. They did it because the most senior flatfoot on the scene listened to what they had to say, and he clearly got concerned and then said, "Are you live?" By the way, one of the other officers there had said that, yeah, they're not supposed to turn off the body cameras, but they actually can do it if they're discussing tactics. Now, what tactics is she talking about? If they know they haven't broken the law, if they're not planning to break the law, if they're not making any racial slurs or anything else defamatory, then why even turn off the body cameras at all? YouTube is full and overflowing of videos showing DUI traffic stops, and you always have in most of these videos the police from the moment of the traffic stop all the way till the person is taken to central booking to be thrown into the drunk tank. They have a non-stop video on it. So what made this one, this routine traffic stop, so apparently different that all three of the cops on the scene had to turn off their body cameras? What were they discussing that they didn't want anyone to see? You know, if you're not guilty, then why do you have to turn off the body cameras? A lot of people apparently expected this case to be dropped by prosecutors because the grounds for stopping Mr. Riley were clearly so flimsy, and the video of the cop planting evidence, which she then falsely cited in her fraudulent report, that we would think would cause any halfway honest judge to throw the case out. But there is no honesty under white supremacy. The judge is a former prosecutor himself, so the fix was in. There was never any actual evidence to support the claim that Mr. Riley was drunk. There was no open container, no field sobriety test. Mr. Riley denied being intoxicated, and there was never a breathalyzer administered. The cops themselves flip-flopped on their claims that he was high on marijuana or drunk or they weren't sure. The only thing that they had was his license was suspended. But that's not why they arrested him. They arrested him for DUI. And the clowns who try to defend this illegal stop and railroading basically have to ignore all the facts and say that the only thing that matters is he refused to take a breathalyzer. By the way, this also includes the Young Turks. That racist Anna, she decided to let all of her bigotry show on this one. She felt like she had an opening. Like an idiot, she said that the cops had to be innocent of any wrongdoing because after all, if they were planning or knew that they were breaking the law, why would they have their body cameras on recording them doing this? Why would they have their body cameras recording them framing an innocent man? Of course, that dimwit forgot that the police turned off their body cameras halfway through the traffic stop. She left that part out. Those of you who have boosted these clowns or defended them or otherwise thought that they were on black people's side, you know there's a reason why we in the black media don't roll with these so-called alternative white media figures. Because whenever they get around to the subject of black people, they always start talking just like every mainstream white media outlet you ever saw. That's the problem. There is no distinction between them and the big boys when it comes to black people. They're all on the same page. So Mr. Riley was railroaded into a DUI conviction. A lot of people are asking, why did the prosecutors decide that they wouldn't throw out the charges? Why did the judge decide he wouldn't throw out the case? Why would a jury convict the man? Now, the racial composition of the jury has not been made public, but then again, anyone want to bet that he was tried by a jury of 12 black people? I think it's pretty safe to say that he was not. This is white supremacy getting on code. That's the reason that this happened. From start to finish, this is what's going on, and it's in Ron DeSantis' Florida. Now, DeSantis whined about the Trump prosecution, and the GOP-controlled legislature in Tallahassee, which is where this incident occurred, they passed a law that allows DeSantis to remove any state politician he wants simply because. Now, here's a textbook case for him, but as we already know, the only politicians DeSantis likes to remove from office are those he disagrees with politically. The judge in this case should have thrown the case out, and he would have if this was a white defendant. This is why I repeatedly tell you that in addition to these racist cops, we also have to make sure that these crooked racist judges are held accountable for the crimes they commit daily. Our work isn't done by half unless they also face consequences for the part that they've played in this racial injustice. Last year, a DeSantis-inspired white supremacist committed a racial mass murder targeting black Floridians. And now we have this incident, which, by the way, is not an outlier or an anomaly. There's been others as well. But this is one of the ones that's one of the most egregious because we actually had the railroading being caught on video. This was DeSantis' entire goal all along. That's the reason that DeSantis and all these other racist politicians like to be palling around with the police so much. It's their way of making sure the cops understand, hey, we want you to break the law and don't worry, we're going to make sure we got you covered. This incident with Mr. Riley is simply the latest in a never-ending string of incidents where black people are targeted, and the politicians are making sure black people are targeted by encouraging and sanctioning all of this racist illegality. The point of this crime report is to let black people know that there's been a white lash from white judges in particular who have been trying to undermine what little bit of accountability the police have had to face. Some black people have been lulled into a false sense of security the last few years, because for the first time there has at least been a number of cases where police have finally been punished for their crimes, albeit modestly. So some black folks want to rest on their laurels and think that, well, basically it's going to be downhill from here. Please, we haven't even made it up to the top of the hill pushing this boulder. Black people better stop thinking that it's okay to let the police run rampant because they think, well, if the cops mess with me, there'll be a civil suit. Get it through your head. The white powers that be have long been plotting how to stop making those payouts, trying to think of justifications and rationales to stop doing it. And the solution that they came to was, well, hell, just simply stop doing it. No justification necessary. And as the young turkeys have shown, a lot of these phony pretend white liberals are going to be helping them to do it. We are up against an organized offense, so we require an organized defense. About the only actual thing that the police actually had on Mr. Riley was that he was driving with a suspended license. But that's the point, though. They didn't want to stop with the suspended license. As far as they were concerned, that was small potatoes. When it comes to black people, you gotta put a criminal case on them, preferably a felony. And that was the reason why drugs and alcohol are so popular with the thugs in blue. And keep in mind, even though this incident, this railroading had gone viral, and the prosecutor and the judge knew that a lot of people, even outside of Tallahassee, across the country were watching this just to see how this would play out, they wanted to show, see how bold we are about enforcing white supremacy here. Yeah, we know that there was no real basis to pull him over, and yeah, we know that this was a case of planted evidence, and yeah, we know that the cops were making this stuff up. They didn't actually believe that he was high on marijuana or drunk or whatever. They were just trying to find a justification for whatever charge they would try to bring against the man. And yeah, we know this is a railroading and the courtroom was just a kangaroo court. Yeah, and that's the entire point. White supremacy likes to throw its illegality and immorality in people's faces because to white supremacy, that's the real power. To show everybody, yeah, we're lying, we're crooked, and all of this is just a whole bunch of fraud going on. But you know what? We can get away with it. Because we got the power to do that, and nobody can stop us, or so they think. The reason that I wanted to make this the subject of today's crime report is because I think black people need a wake-up call and to understand what's happened to Mr. Riley's been happening in other places too. The white authorities that be, they have been making it very clear they're getting back on code and trying to bring back the old normal. Oh yeah, the good guys push. And now the bad guys are attempting to push back. And you see, it's these judges who are leading the charge on this stuff. All of them are co-conspirators and collaborators in working together in order to deny black citizens their rights. All of them do this mess day in and day out. Because in America, the biggest criminals are the ones who are supposed to be enforcing and upholding the law. And that's the Friday Crime Report. Keep your eyes open and stay on alert, because there's a lot worse criminals out there than the ones the white corporate media chooses to show you. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Gregory Franklin, Roxanne Allen, Prince Ali Ahmed, Tyquin Campbell, and Herman Breckenridge. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.